Hello and a very warm welcome to the State of States e-conclave. This is the only platform in the country that brings you a thorough analysis of all the development work that's happening in the states. This is our 19th edition, wherein all around development of the states is evaluated across 12 parameters. This year we've also added the happiness index, which we felt was very crucial considering the last 2 years have been difficult, and that's putting it very mildly. I'd like to begin by thanking our sponsor, RPG Enterprises, and with that, we'd like to invite Mr. Raj Chengappa, Group Editorial Director Publishing, India Today Group, to please deliver the introductory remarks.
Hello and welcome to this virtual ceremony of the 19th India Today State of the State Survey and Awards presentation. India Today magazine began this unique survey in 2003, much before competitive federalism became buzzwords in the political lexicon. We believed that Indian states are the prime drivers of economic development and growth of the country. They are the spokes that keep the giant Indian wheel running. If the states do well, the country does well. If only a few states do well, the others will still be a drag on the country's rapid economic growth. Therefore, it is important that all boats are uplifted by the tide of development. So how does one measure the pace of growth and development of India's 28 states? We consulted top experts and put together a set of parameters for governance that are vital to the upliftment of the people of the state. These include obvious ones like providing better education, health, agriculture, and entrepreneurship opportunities, apart from maintaining law and order. Then there are also infrastructure issues like providing adequate water supply, power supply, and transport. As critical is how well the state is being governed and does it provide inclusive development. All these depend on the state leadership for vision and execution. So rather than rely on opinion surveys, we decided to base our study on hard facts and figures. We made the survey totally independent by engaging the leading research agency, MDRA, to collaborate with India Today magazine. For the 2021 survey, data was sourced by the agency from multiple reliable databases, including both central and state statistical departments and national sample surveys. More than 20 experts, including academics, representatives from Niti Aayog, think tanks, and research organizations, were consulted to determine the criteria to judge a state's performance. We have continuously fine-tuned our ranking systems. For instance, in 2018, when we found that some states kept winning because of historical, geographical, or legacy reasons, we started awards for the most improved state. We looked at the change effected in the past 5 years by a state to adjudge the winner of this category. Also, our results are based on outcomes rather than just on inputs. So, for instance, a state may have provided more clinics and hospitals in terms of infrastructure, but for our survey, the important criteria is whether these led to a reduction in child and maternal mortality and an improvement in overall life expectancy. The India Today survey uses over 200 such attributes or indicators to judge the performance in the 12 categories that we rank the states on. Based on the weights determined for each indicator, rankings in each category were arrived at. Totaling of the category-wise scores were used to arrive at overall best performing and most improved states. With small states winning most of the awards, to ensure a level playing field, we broke up the awards into big states and small states. Any state larger than 35,000 square kilometers and having a population of more than 5 million qualifies to being a large state. So we were able to compare apples with apples, and that made our findings more equitable. In the 2021 State of the State survey, apart from the 12 categories, we introduced a 13th one, the happiness index. Though happiness is an amorphous state, we consulted experts and came up with criteria to judge how a state performed on this index. It included assessing the prosperity of the state by taking per capita income figures, the indebtedness of a state, unemployment and inflation statistics, apart from scores for ranking on governance, infrastructure, law and order, and the environment. 2 states will be receiving the Happiness Award for the first time. This, however, does not mean that people in other states are less happy. It is simply a reflection of the performance of these 2 states across the parameters which we considered. With all these refinements, the State of the State survey and awards have come to be regarded as the gold standard of performance on the social, economic, and ecological health of the states. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has acknowledged India Today's contribution by terming our State of the State surveys as a benchmark and model for others to follow. Our primary objective of the State of the State survey is not to undermine any state's achievements and efforts, but to instill a sense of competition among all of them. Since these are quantifiable outputs, the states can share their experiences and learn from each other. This, we think, is the true value of our survey, which is to equip states with the knowledge to strive for excellence and recognize and reward those who have emerged on the top. We have a special award presentation with speeches from winning chief ministers and key ministers of winning states. So I'm not going to reveal who all have won the awards, but let it unfold. So sit back and find out whether your state has won an award. And for more details, read the special issue of India Today that is now out on the stands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chengappa. Let's deep dive now into the development discourse. How to balance welfare economy and growth in the pandemic hit economy. Can I please invite Kaushik Deka, Deputy Editor, India Today, to introduce the topic and his panelists.
Welcome to this special show of India Today Conclave, State of the State Conclave 2021. And this is a very special conclave because for a change, we would not be scrutinizing or criticizing government and their functionaries. We would be rather celebrating their performances across various parameters. We will be brainstorming about the future roadmap, and we will also try to instill a competitive sense, healthy competition among the states. And I have two very special guests. One is Tamil Nadu Finance Secretary, Mr. M. Murugandam, and we have also with us Mr. Hemant Sharma, Principal Secretary Finance, Odisha. Welcome, gentlemen, to this very special show. My first question would be to both of you. You could answer one after one. Mr. Murugandam first. I'm not too sure whether we should call it post-pandemic time, but still the states are now gradually, the entire country gradually returning to normalcy. And now the states are faced with twin challenges. One is to revamp the economy, because the corona has devastated the economy to a great way, and also to provide relief to people, those who have faced the issues because of the devastated economy, and also many other livelihood issues because of this pandemic. So it creates a problem for the state machinery, because you have to revive the economy. At the same time, you have to provide relief, which commonly known as doles or welfare schemes. So how are the states balancing these two, in a way, contradictory goals, objectives? So Mr. Murugandam first, I would like to know from you how Tamil Nadu is managing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you that we are facing twin challenges. See, on the one hand, we have to actually provide relief and also care to the people who have been affected by the COVID pandemic. And at the same time, we'll have to ensure that the growth doesn't suffer, that the wheels of the economy keep turning. So this is a real challenge because of this pandemic. For example, as a state, we have incurred almost 24,500 crores so far in relief. Say this is to buy medicines, to provide food items, then to get some medical equipment, PPE kits, and all kinds of things, because this pandemic has been there in two phases. So almost 24,500 crores is the expenditure. At the same time, our revenues have come down because there were complete shutdown. So all activities came to a standstill, all shops are closed. So roughly around 20% has been the loss in revenue as compared to our budgeted estimates. It was there last year and it was there this year also. So it's a sort of double whammy. On the one hand, you don't have the resources, or resources have gone down. On the other hand, you have to incur higher expenditure. But we are a welfare state, and Tamil Nadu believes that by spending money on health, education, and on social sectors. It will actually, we don't call it goals. It will actually help in reviving the economy, and in the long run, it will benefit the state. And this has happened, and we are very convinced about our model. While we have been the state has been very concerned and has provided all the relief to the people, we have also focused on capital expenditure. Like last year, we spent around 32,000 crores on capital expenditure because we wanted to revive the economy. So kind of roads, buildings, and other important infrastructure projects have been taken. And this year, till last month, we have spent around 90,000 crores on capital expenditure. Even during the lockdown period, we ensured that the essential sectors continue to function. And we have taken a lot of steps to improve the ease of doing business. So last year, we could get around 80,000 crores in terms of new investments. And this year, our new government has come, and we have been able to attract around 55,000 crores. And even today, the Honorable Chief Minister is attending a major function in Coimbatore, where MOUs for 35,000 crores of investment, new investment, are being signed.
Over to Mr. Sharma, how Odisha is actually trying to manage this contradiction between these two very tough goals.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kaushik. And in fact, my colleague, Mr. Murugandan, has very ably and succinctly put across the views. Primarily, Odisha also had these twin challenges of managing the extra expenditure which came on account of COVID, while facing a situation of reduced finances, reduced revenues, and also anticipated the uncertainties associated with COVID were overwhelming. In fact, nobody could foresee last year when the disease would come to a stop, when the life would come back to normal. So the uncertainty associated with normalcy returning, and when the normalcy would be able to return, the governments found it difficult. Most of the state governments were finding it difficult to plan for infrastructure, to plan for continued expenses and all. Fortunately, in Orissa, while we in the initial phases, we did put a stop to all the what is called recurrent revenue nature of expenditure, while keeping the capital expenditure on infrastructure intact, because that gives wage security to the people. Therefore, it was essential to keep the capital expense going while curtailing the non-essential revenue nature of expenses. This was one of the strategies we adopted. See, three important entitlements. I mean, our Honorable Chief Minister made it very clear in the beginning, and his mantra is every life matters. So this was the motto of the government while facing the COVID challenge, and all hands on board. Entire resources were commandeered to meet the health disaster. The health challenge was the most important challenge which we wanted to meet. So every life matters means we needed to give three securities to the people of the state. Number one was the health security. Our government decided very early on that every expense on account of treatment would be met by the government. So for every citizen, whether the treatment is in Apollo or in Amri or a government hospital or a PHC, everything was borne by the state government. Boarding, lodging, ICU charges, ambulance charges, medicines, any treatment at any level, including very costly ECMO treatments outside the state, were also borne by the government. Now, this while giving a confidence to every citizen that the state government is with you in this hour of crisis and unprecedented kind of event, it also definitely put a pressure on the state's resources. Initially, we did curtail non-essential revenue expenditure, but fortunately for Odisha, simultaneously, one good thing happened, which was the commodity prices started increasing. And since we were able to keep the essential industry going, for us, most essential industry being the mineral industry, the metallurgical industry, the huge metal industries which we have in the state, because of that continuity, our resources did not suffer. Resource mobilization did not suffer to that extent. In fact, in financial year 2021, we had 5% additional revenue as compared to the previous financial year, and therefore the additional expenses on account of treatment, on account of providing food security, on account of providing wage security, additional works on capital, we were able to do. I think the most important takeaway from this pandemic, post-pandemic, is it is important for the government to put the best foot forward in the face of these kinds of disasters, and given some level of mature financial planning, it is possible to do. Therefore, our learning point is that all this expenditure which has gone into providing free treatment to the people has actually given results to us. Now, the COVID situation started improving very fast. So normalcy also was able to return very fast, which in turn actually helped our revenues to come back. In fact, in the current financial year, 21-22, up to 31st of October 2021, we have earned an additional 25,000 crores of revenue on mineral resources alone. The contribution to DMF is over and above that, but on mineral royalties alone, we were able to earn 25,000 crores extra, which has actually enabled state government not only to meet the additional expenses on account of 100% free treatment for each and every COVID patient, but also keep the infrastructure capital expenses running.
At a time when everybody is talking about resource crunch, it's very heartening to hear Mr. Sharma talking about additional resources. And a key word that you used was mature management of wealth, actually resources. And that maturity is also now required, I think, in another way, the relationship between the center and the states, because COVID has presented an unprecedented situation where both states and the center, they need to be flexible in their, not only in their relationship, but also in managing the country's resources and putting it to the best welfare of the people. So in that context, I would like to ask, have you seen any change in the resource distribution, apart from the normal resource distribution, but during the pandemic, have you seen what are the kind of flexible movements, both by states and the center, to get away from that situation and help the people?
One of the most important learning points for the entire country, for all states and government of India, is that synergy is actually what gives more energy. And this cooperative federalism and cooperation between the state and central government is the key to face any natural disaster or this kind of a disaster which came out of the blue. So we worked very closely with the government of India. I can cite a number of examples, the most important being early on in the pandemic, we did huge amounts of procurements to be done for PPE kits, for sanitizers, for essential medicines, for essential medical equipment, ventilators. It would never have been possible if both the governments were not working together day in and day out. And government of India was supplying us medicines. We had put in efficient systems to distribute those medicines. Government of India supplied us vaccines. We ensured that there is zero wastage and that every dose is accounted for and is put to use exactly as per the timetable drawn up by Government of India. We also ensured that whenever flexibility was given by Ministry of Finance, Government of India in making essential procurement on an emergency basis, by relaxing most of the general financial rules, we made use of such relaxations and were able to ramp up our supplies of PPEs, medicines, essential equipment at a very fast pace. When Government of India gave us additional PSA plants, we made the civil work complete in record period of time so that those oxygen plants can come up and be used at the right moment. When Government of India gave us the ventilators, we made sure that our ICUs and our special COVID hospitals are available right in time so that those ventilators can be put to use. I'll just give you one example. I was very keenly involved with the procurement of essential items. At one point of time, we were facing tremendous shortage of cylinders. We had the oxygen. In fact, you would be aware that Odisha was able to supply oxygen not only to its own hospitals, but to the entire country. We were working very closely with Government of India in mobilizing special rails, mobilizing special tankers. Large number of tankers had to be flown to Odisha from various parts of the country so that we curtail the turnaround time of tankers, and this oxygen can actually reach where it is required. It was traveling from Orissa to Tamil Nadu to Kerala to Maharashtra to Gujarat to Delhi to Punjab to Haryana. Had it not been for the close cooperation and coordination and synergy between various state governments and state government and the central government, this kind of a response we would have never been able to mount. We wanted 10,000 cylinders to be imported from China on an emergency basis. We could procure the cylinders from China. In fact, we were the first state in the country to have actually procured such large volume. But how do you fly the cylinders back? If you take the shipping route, it would have taken us 15 days. But we entered into a dialogue with Government of India, and we were able to fly those cylinders in 6 hours flat. Similarly, when it came to planning for the large number of migrant workers who were returning, Odisha faced a unique challenge that a very large number of migrant workers had to come back to Odisha in a short period of time. How to enable transport for them, how to have the transport in such a manner that they travel without disease and they come back. And Odisha, for one, was a state. 6,000 shelters we could make ready within a period of 1 week. Otherwise, handling 8 lakh migrants returning all of a sudden would not have been possible. So this is not only between state and central government. It is, to my mind, the most important learning point of this pandemic.
Really amazing to hear this, what you have described about the synergy, not only between the center and the state, but also within the state, especially the reforms or the innovative ways that the government responded. I think special situation needs special measures, and Odisha has been an example of that. Coming back to Tamil Nadu, I'd like to ask Mr. Murugandam, what we have seen in Tamil Nadu is that it's in our India Today State of the States awards, it has won the best performing state for the 4th consecutive time. Congratulations on that, and very commendable feat. But when it comes to most improved performances, where we measure the performances of last 5 years, it's not at the top, simply because I admit that when you are at the top, it's very difficult to progress, because if your base is very high, then it becomes even more difficult. But at the same time, it's also, you cannot probably rest on past laurels, and you have to start moving faster than probably many other states. So how is Tamil Nadu planning now to make that move faster? Because you're already doing good in terms of as the best performing state in the country, but you definitely to keep pace with other states, to not let this honor slip away, you have to even move faster. So how you are planning to do that, sir?
So on the industry front, what we are doing is actually we have come out with many innovative policies. We have come out with a new industrial policy. We have come out with an export strategy, because we want to focus on exports. A policy for attracting data centers, a policy for attracting investment in e-vehicles, and we are working on an R&D policy. So all this has actually helped us to attract a lot of investment, particularly in certain sectors. For example, in data centers. Now Chennai has become the hub for data centers. Nearly 35,000 crore of investments have come in the last 12 months in data centers alone. And on electric vehicles, electric two-wheelers, it has become a big hub, particularly Hosur and Krishnagiri, which is near Bangalore. Ola is putting up the largest two-wheeler factory in the world there. And also in electronic manufacturing, you know very well, iPhone, the entire manufacturing of iPhone, almost 2/3 in the country is done from Tamil Nadu. So these policies are helping us. We are focusing on specific sectors where we have strengths. Simultaneously, we are also working on innovations, new innovations, encouraging startups. We have got a very robust innovation policy, and we already have IIT Research Park, which is doing a lot of work on innovations. So a lot of work is being done on innovations and on startups. On agriculture front, the government has come out with a lot of new schemes. A lot of budget allocation has been done, so that we are able to see growth in agriculture. we are focusing a lot on human resources, on skill training, because we feel that is one of our biggest strengths. Of course, our health infrastructure also we are improving. We are now setting up around 11 new colleges, medical colleges. And the new government has actually come out with a very innovative policy, because the children could not go to school, particularly government school children, for the last 1 year, 1.5 years because of the COVID. So now the teachers are going home, reaching out to their homes, so that whatever gaps are there in the learnings among this government school children, that will be bridged. So these kind of schemes are also working. So, and we are focusing a lot on IT and technology. The government is going for a very big, massive move to bring in all online services, so that both G2C and G2B. And I'm sure within the next, say, 12 months or so, or next time when we meet in the next year's awards, definitely our pace of growth will be much higher, and this question will not be necessary.
I really like the confidence that you are certainly coming back for next year awards. That should be the confidence of every state. That should be the competitive spirit. Now, coming back to Odisha, Odisha has done remarkably well in last 5 years in terms of inclusive development, which will imply that it has done good show in poverty alleviation, Manrega, LPG coverage, houses for the urban and rural poor, jobs under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, PDS offtake, and health insurance schemes. I got a sense of it when you said that you empowered Sarpanch, means that making the governance all inclusive and taking the untrodden path is the key. So how is Odisha doing? But this was a COVID situation, but Odisha has been doing well for last 5 years and even more than that in these parameters. So how did Odisha perform on these parameters? What was the key to success?
See, the key to success, I think the key to success is, the political stability and the financial stability which the state enjoys. Our Honorable Chief Minister has been leading from the front for almost more than 2 decades now. And consistently, he has been rated as the best performing Chief Minister in the country, survey after survey. And that is because of, the mantra is last person matters. Last mile is very important. Every life is precious. And there is a concept what is called 5T on which our state has been working for quite some time. It says technology, transparency, teamwork, and time leading to transformation. So all our systems, government systems, are being transformed in order to cater to the needs of the bottom of the pyramid. Whether is our improvement of schools to what is called the More School program, where high schools are being transformed, new laboratories, new classrooms, new toilets, new playgrounds, and new teaching methodologies have been implemented for government high schools in rural areas, and it is called the transformation program. I would send you one of short clips of a program which we had just last week, where 500 of the high schools spread across the state were taken up for such transformation, and the work has been completed. Whether it is the irrigation coverage, which has enabled us now to become the 3rd largest producer of rice in the country. In fact, we are now a big contributor to the country's procurement pool after Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP. And there again, the technology infusion is such that our mandis work round the clock in a very efficient manner through deployment of IT-based tools. See, skilled workforce. My senior colleague from Tamil Nadu also talked of skilled workforce from Tamil Nadu, and we have really invested a lot into skilling our workforce. Out of the top 100 ITIs of the country today, you can check from the Government of India MSD website, 11 of the top 100 ITIs are now from Odisha. The top 20 rankers this year in the All India Trade Test, 2 were from one ITI in Odisha, and out of the total 27 were from Odisha, and 1 girl child in mechanic trade and another boy in fitter trade were from Odisha. That's the kind of investment we have made in our ITIs, in our polytechnics, in our engineering institutions. Skilled in Orissa is now a brand. If you go to any industrial city in India, you will find the most productive, the most disciplined, and the most skilled workers actually are from Orissa. We have recently set up a World Skills Center with collaboration with ITE of Singapore, where highly precision skills are being given to our workforce. See, all this, the basic framework is the framework of stable governance. That is, we take pride in the fact that ours is a stable polity. Industry, trade, and commerce look forward to stability of policy and consistency of policy and certainty of policy. The policy flip-flops or uncertainties do not serve trade, commerce, or industry. Because of this political stability, we have policy consistency, policy certainty. Our industrial policies, our sectoral policies in aerospace, defense, plastics, polymers, apparel, textile, garment, IT, BPO, etc. They have helped us to garner more and more investment. Odisha is a mineral-rich state. Therefore, our strength, like the strength of Tamil Nadu, is in electronics, is in auto components, in automobiles. Our strength is in minerals and metals. So today, because of this consistent work which we have done in the last 20 years, today Odisha is the single largest producer of steel, single largest producer of stainless steel, single largest producer of aluminium and alumina in the country. 40% of the steel making capacity in steel, 80% of stainless steel making capacity, and 90% of aluminium capacity in India today is in Odisha. And all our infrastructure offerings are meant to serve this need. So our ports are bulk ports, Paradeep, Gopalpur, Dhamra, now Suvarnrekha and Jatadhari Mohan. Our connectivity on road and rail is meant to cater to this industrial base. Now we are also attracting investments across other sectors like polymers. Today, Indian Oil Corporation is setting up India's largest naphtha cracker complex in Odisha, which will be a 15 million tons per annum on the East Coast, which will further spur growth on textiles, technical textiles, man-made fibers, for which we have set up specialized industrial parks. So Odisha growth story is, it has layers. The first and most visible layer is that on the industrial front, in last 2 years alone, we have been able to garner investment worth 4 lakh crore. India's largest steel plant being set up by ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel at Paradeep and Kendrapada was recently announced by Mr. Mittal. Similarly, India's largest aluminum complex being set up by Vedanta work is going on. I already mentioned the largest polymer complex and so on and so forth. This gives us resource stability, financial stability, which we are inputting into the public goods like roads, rural housing, rural electrification. Today, every household, every village is electrified. Odisha has been able to complete more than 16 lakh houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and the work is going on very fast. We were the first state in the country to set up the Millet Mission, Odisha Millet Mission, way back in 2017, and Government of India declared it as a model program and then set up the National Millet Mission last year. In fact, the UN has picked up this idea, and 2023, if I am correct, is being celebrated as the International Millet Year going forward. So our growth story on one account is about poverty alleviation, rural infrastructure, investment in irrigation, which adds to agricultural output, and also in skilling our workforce so that our industrial setup, which we have been able to bring, gets continuously served and is able to give us more and more resources. As I mentioned earlier, the 5T, that is at the forefront. That guides our government work. Technology in every government work, transparency, teamwork, time leading to transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Actually, I would have liked to hear more from Mr. Murugandam also, but unfortunately, I'm running out of time. I was actually talking to two seasoned bureaucrats, but the sense that I got was to school students very eager to showcase their performances. And it's very encouraging to see the kind of enthusiasm that I have seen about the work that are going on in the States. And especially what I learned is this, that whether it's one of the long-standing governments or whether it's a new government, the innovation is the key, and responses according to the needs. In Tamil Nadu, teachers are going to students' home. In Odisha, sarpanches are functioning as district magistrates. So these are the measures, innovative measures, and I'm sure there are many others which are actually driving the growth engines in Indian states. Thank you so much for joining me here in this India Today State of the States Conclave 2021. It was wonderful having you two gentlemen here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushik, and thanks India Today for judging Tamil Nadu as the best state again for the, I think, 4th year in the running. Thank you very much.
With that, we begin with the big awards. Let's look at the best performing big states to begin with. And the award for the best performing big state goes to Tamil Nadu, one of the few states to have not registered a negative growth during the pandemic. Can I please request the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Stalin, to deliver his winning address.
இந்தியாவின் தலைசிறந்த இதழ்களில் ஒன்றான இந்தியா டுடே இதழின் இயக்குனர் திரு ராஜ் செங்கப்பா அவர்களே, அதன் ஆசிரியர் திரு அமர்நாத் கே மேனன் அவர்களே, இந்தியா டுடேவின் ஆசிரியர் குழுவை சார்ந்திருக்கக்கூடியவர்களே, இந்தியாவின் பல்வேறு பகுதிகளில் பணியாற்றும் நிருபர்களே, பத்திரிகையாளர்களே, இந்நிகழ்ச்சியின் சிறப்பு அழைப்பாளர்களே, உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் எனது அன்பான வணக்கத்தை முதலில் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். இந்தியாவின் சமூக, அரசியல், பொருளாதார, கலை மற்றும் பண்பாட்டு தட்பவெப்பங்களை சொல்கின்ற தலைசிறந்த இதழான இந்தியா டுடேவின் சார்பில் வழங்கப்படும் விருதினை பெறுவதில் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். இந்தியா டுடே இதழுக்கும் அதன் ஆசிரியர் குழுவுக்கும் எனது நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். திரு ராஜ் செங்கப்பா அவர்கள் எனக்கு ஒரு கடிதம் அனுப்பியிருந்தார்கள். அந்த கடிதத்தில் இந்தியா முழுவதும் உள்ள அனைத்து மாநிலங்களின் செயல்பாட்டை கணித்ததாகவும், அதில் ஒட்டுமொத்த செயல்திறனிலும் சிறந்து விளங்கும் பெரிய மாநிலமாக தமிழ்நாடு தேர்வு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது என்பதையும் தெரிவித்திருந்தார். இதை படித்தபோது நான் அடைந்த மகிழ்ச்சிக்கு அளவே இல்லை. இது தனிப்பட்ட எனக்கு கிடைத்த பெருமை அல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்களுக்கும் கிடைத்த பெருமையாகும், தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு கிடைத்த சிறப்பாகும். இந்தியா டுடே வழங்கிய இந்த விருதை தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்கள் அனைவருக்கும் சொந்தமாக்க விரும்புகிறேன். நான் முதலமைச்சராக பொறுப்பேற்ற போது கொரோனா பெருந்தொற்றின் காரணமான மாபெரும் நெருக்கடி காலமாக அது இருந்தது. நிதி நெருக்கடியும் மருத்துவ நெருக்கடியும் சேர்ந்து வதைத்தது. 5 லட்சம் கோடி ரூபாய் கடனில் இருக்கும் நிர்வாகமும் இருந்தது. அத்தகைய நடவடிக்கையாலும் மக்களின் தியாக வென்றோம். ஊரடங்கு மூலமாக வாழ்வாதாரம் இழந்த மத்தியதர வர்க்கத்தினருக்கும் உதவிகள் செய்து கொண்டே கொரோனாவுக்கு முற்றுப்புள்ளி வைத்தோம். அப்போது இந்தியாவின் முன்னணி ஊடக நிறுவனங்கள் என்னை பாராட்டி எழுதினார்கள். இந்தியாவின் தலைசிறந்த முதலமைச்சர், நம்பர் 1 முதலமைச்சர் என்றும் கருத்து கணிப்புகளை வெளியிட்டார்கள். அது தொடர்பாக என்னை ஊடகத்தினர் கேட்டபோது நான் நம்பர் 1 என்று சொல்வதை விட தமிழ்நாடு நம்பர் 1 ஆக வேண்டும், அதுதான் என்னுடைய விருப்பம் என்று நான் சொன்னேன். அந்த அடிப்படையில் பார்த்தால் இந்தியா டுடே இதழானது தமிழ்நாடு நம்பர் 1 என்று அறிவித்துள்ளது. மிக மிக மகிழ்ச்சிக்குரியதாக அமைந்துள்ளது. நம்பர் 1 என்று சொன்ன பிறகுதான் எனக்கு பயமே வருகிறது. இதனை தக்க வைப்பதற்காக முன்பை விட கூடுதலாக நான் உழைத்தாக வேண்டும் என்று நான் உறுதி எடுத்துக் கொள்கிறேன். 10 ஆண்டுகளாக மிக மிக மோசமான நிலையில் அனைத்து துறைகளிலும் பாழ்பட்டு கிடந்த தமிழ்நாட்டை மீட்டெடுப்பது என்பது சாதாரணமானதல்ல. நாளைக்கே நடந்துவிடும் என்று நம்பக்கூடிய கற்பனாவாதியும் அல்ல நான். சரியான இலக்கை வைத்து தொடர்ச்சியாக உழைத்தால் தமிழ்நாடு இழந்த பெருமையை மீண்டும் அடையும் என்ற நம்பிக்கை எனக்கு உண்டு. அதனை நோக்கித்தான் உழைத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம், ஓடிக்கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். சமூகம், கல்வி, பொருளாதாரம், தொழில் வளர்ச்சி, தொழில்நுட்ப வளர்ச்சி ஆகிய அனைத்திலும் ஒரு சேர வளர வேண்டும் என்பதுதான் எங்களது ஆட்சியினுடைய இலக்கணமாகும். அனைத்து துறையும் வளர வேண்டும், அனைத்து சமூகமும் மேம்பாடு அடைய வேண்டும், அனைத்து தொழில்களும் சிறக்க வேண்டும், அனைத்து மாவட்டங்களும் செழிக்க வேண்டும் என்பதுதான் எங்களது இலக்கு. இந்த இலக்கை அடைவதற்காக எங்களை நாங்களே ஒப்படைத்துக் கொண்டுள்ளோம். இந்த இலக்கு என்பது தனிப்பட்ட ஒரு முதலமைச்சரின் இலக்காக இல்லாமல், ஒரு அமைச்சரவையின் இலக்காக மட்டுமில்லாமல், அனைத்து அரசு அதிகாரிகளின் இலக்காக மாறியுள்ளது. இத்தகைய சிந்தனையை மக்கள் மனதிலும் விதைத்துள்ளோம். முதலமைச்சரான எண்ணில் தொடங்கி கடைகோடி மனிதர் வரைக்கும் தலைசிறந்த தமிழ்நாட்டை உருவாக்குவதற்கு உறுதி பூண்டுள்ளோம். தொழில் துறையிலும், கல்வியிலும், வேலைவாய்ப்பிலும், பொருளாதார வளர்ச்சி குறியீடுகளிலும், சமூக குறியீடுகளிலும் இந்தியாவில் தலைசிறந்த முதன்மை மாநிலமாக தமிழ்நாடு விரைவில் முன்னெடுக்கப்படும். அதற்கான ஊக்க சக்தியாக இந்தியா டுடே வழங்கிய விருது அமைந்துள்ளது. மாநிலங்களின் நிலை குறித்து எந்த மாதிரியான ஆய்வை செய்திருக்கிறோம் என்பதை நீங்களே விளக்கியுள்ளீர்கள். அத்தகைய அனைத்து ஆய்வுகளிலும் தமிழ்நாடு முந்தி செல்வதை நீங்கள் கணித்துள்ளீர்கள். இத்தகைய கணிப்புகளின் போது உங்களுக்கு பல்வேறு தகவல்கள் கிடைத்திருக்கும். அதில் நாங்கள் திருத்திக் கொள்ள வேண்டியவைகளும் இருந்திருக்கும். அவற்றையும் தமிழ்நாடு அரசுக்கு நீங்கள் வழங்க வேண்டும் என்று கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். எத்தகைய ஆலோசனைகளையும் திறந்த மனத்துடன் பரிசீலிக்க தமிழ்நாடு அரசு தயாராக இருக்கிறது. தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு விருது கொடுத்த இந்த நேரத்தில் இந்தியா டுடேவுக்கு நான் ஒரு கோரிக்கையை வைக்க விரும்புகிறேன். பல்லாண்டுகளாக வெளியாகி வந்த இந்தியா டுடேவுடைய தமிழ் பதிப்பை திடீரென்று நிறுத்திவிட்டீர்கள். விரைவில் மீண்டும் இந்தியா டுடேவுடைய தமிழ் பதிப்பு வெளியாக வேண்டும் என்று எனது ஆசையை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். தமிழ்நாட்டின் சிறப்பை, மேன்மையை, மாற்றத்தை இந்தியா முழுமைக்கும் கொண்டு செல்ல இந்தியா டுடே இதழ் தனி கவனம் செலுத்த வேண்டும் என்று கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். ஆசிரியர் குழுவிற்கு மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை நன்றி கூறி விடைபெறுகிறேன். வணக்கம்.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Stalin. Of course, no surprises that Tamil Nadu emerges as the most powerful and one of the biggest states to have done so well. Moving on to our next award, Most Improved Big State. And here it's a surprise. The award goes to Bihar. It jumped from the 9th rank last year to the top position, driven by its performance in education, agriculture, economy and infrastructure. I hand it over to Mr. Nitish Kumar on the winning mantra.
इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप के स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट सर्वे 2021 ने बिहार को समग्र रूप से भारत का सबसे इम्प्रूव्ड राज्य घोषित किया है। इसके अलावा आपके सर्वेक्षण ने बिहार को शिक्षा, अर्थव्यवस्था और समावेशी विकास की श्रेणियों में सबसे बेहतर राज्य घोषित किया है। आपके सर्वे का रिजल्ट हमारी सरकार के प्रयासों और प्रतिबद्धता की पुष्टि करता है। कोविड महामारी पूरे विश्व के साथ साथ अपने देश के लिए भी एक चुनौती बनकर आई है। इस दौरान दूसरे राज्यों में कार्यरत बिहार के लाखों इच्छुक श्रमिक बिहार वापस आए। कोरोना महामारी में तमाम चुनौतियों के बीच में राज्य सरकार के द्वारा हर संभव कदम उठाए गए। पहले चरण में राज्य सरकार द्वारा बिहार के लोगों की सहायता के लिए 10,000 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की राशि खर्च की गई। दूसरे चरण में भी राज्य सरकार द्वारा लोगों को हर संभव सहायता दी गई। राज्य सरकार हमेशा बिहार के समग्र विकास के प्रति समर्पित रही है। बुनियादी ढांचे के निर्माण, सड़क एवं पुल, बिजली और स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में अभूतपूर्व सुधार हुए। हमारी प्राथमिकता हमेशा शिक्षा, सामाजिक कल्याण, सामाजिक न्याय के साथ साथ राज्य के सबसे कमजोर एवं वंचित वर्ग के लोगों यथा अनुसूचित जाति एवं अनुसूचित जनजाति, अति पिछड़ा वर्ग, अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय, महिलाओं एवं वृद्धजनों की मदद करना रही। मेरा दृढ़ विश्वास है कि विकास एक यात्रा है और हम इसे जारी रखने के लिए संकल्पित हैं। मैं आपके इस आयोजन की सफलता के लिए अपनी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और बिहार के प्रयासों को मान्यता देने के लिए इंडिया टुडे समूह का अभिनंदन करता हूं। आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Moving on to our next winner, Best Performing Small State, and the award goes to the very wonderful Puducherry. Farming and tourism are the two mainstays of the economy. Here, it is also the fastest developing infrastructure to attract investment. Can I please request Mr. N. Rangaswamy, the Chief Minister of Puducherry, to say a few words.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். இந்தியா டுடே பத்திரிகையானது புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தை ஒரு சிறந்த மாநிலமாக அறிவித்ததில் மிகுந்த மகிழ்ச்சி. சிறிய மாநிலங்களில் சிறந்த மாநிலமாக நம்முடைய புதுச்சேரி மாநிலம் திகழ்கின்றது என்ற பெருமையை இந்தியா டுடே பத்திரிகை அறிவித்து எங்களுக்கு ஒரு புதிய உத்வேகத்தை கொடுத்திருக்கின்றது. அதுக்குடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றியை நான் இந்தியா டுடே பத்திரிகை சார்ந்த நண்பர்களுக்கு தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். புதுச்சேரி மாநிலம் ஒரு சிறிய மாநிலம், யூனியன் பிரதேசம். இந்த மாநிலம் சுற்றுலா பயணிகளை ஈர்க்கின்ற மாநிலமாக தற்பொழுது திகழ்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தினுடைய உள்கட்டமைப்பை மேம்படுத்தி புதுச்சேரியினுடைய வளர்ச்சியை கொண்டு வருவதில் என்னுடைய அரசு முழு கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. குறிப்பாக புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தில் அனைவருக்கும் கல்வி என்ற நிலையை கொண்டு வருவதில் நாங்கள் மிகுந்த கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றோம். இலவச கல்வி மூலமாக ஏழை எளிய மாணவர்களும் உயர்கல்வியை பெறுகின்ற நிலை எங்களுடைய அரசால் கொண்டு வரப்பட்டுள்ளது. மருத்துவக் கல்லூரிகள், அரசு மருத்துவக் கல்லூரி மற்றும் தனியார் மருத்துவக் கல்லூரிகள், தொழில்நுட்ப கல்லூரிகள், இப்படி பல கல்லூரிகள் புதுச்சேரியில் இருக்கின்றது. ஆரம்ப கல்வி முதல் உயர் கல்வி பெறுகின்ற வரை இலவச கல்வி என்ற திட்டத்தை எங்களுடைய அரசு சிறப்பாக செயல்படுத்தி வருகின்றது. அதனால் படித்தவருடைய எண்ணிக்கை தற்பொழுது 90% எட்டியிருக்கின்றது. கல்வி பெறுவதன் மூலமாக நல்ல சமுதாயத்தை, நல்ல சமூகத்தை உருவாக்க முடியும் என்ற நம்பிக்கை எங்களுக்கு இருக்கின்றது. அதேபோன்று தொழில்துறையை மேம்படுத்தி இளைஞர்களுக்கு வேலைவாய்ப்பினை உருவாக்குகின்ற நடவடிக்கை அரசு எடுத்து வருகின்றது. தொழில் தொடங்க எளிதான முறையில் அனுமதி வழங்க வேண்டும் என்ற நிலையில் எங்களுடைய அரசு தெளிவாக இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. அடுத்து சுகாதாரமான நிலை இருக்க வேண்டும், அனைவருக்கும் மருத்துவம் என்ற எண்ணத்திலும் எங்களுடைய அரசானது சிறந்த முறையில் மருத்துவ வசதியை செய்து கொடுத்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. தற்பொழுது கொரோனா தொற்று நோயிலிருந்து மக்களை பாதுகாப்பதில் அதிக கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. 100 விழுக்காடு தடுப்பூசி போட்டுக்கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்ற எண்ணத்தில் இப்பொழுது அரசு மிகுந்த கவனம் செலுத்தி நடவடிக்கை எடுத்து வருகின்றது. 80% மக்கள் தடுப்பூசி போட்டுக்கொண்டவர்கள் என்ற நிலையை அரசு உருவாக்கி இருக்கின்றது. மேலும் 100 விழுக்காடு தடுப்பூசி போட்டுக்கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்ற நிலையில் இப்பொழுது அரசு கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. எங்களுடைய அரசு அனைவருக்கும் வீடு என்ற திட்டத்தில் பெருந்தலைவர் காமராஜ் பெயரில் வீடு கட்டும் திட்டம் தொடங்கி தற்பொழுது மாண்புமிகு பாரத பிரதமருடைய வீடு கட்டும் திட்டத்தோடு இணைந்து தாழ்த்தப்பட்ட இன மக்களுக்கு 5,5 லட்சம் ரூபாயும் மற்ற இனத்தை சார்ந்த மக்களுக்கு 3,5 லட்சம் ரூபாயும் இலவசமாக வழங்கி வருகின்றது. அதனால் அனைவருக்கும் வீடு கல்வீடு என்ற நிலை முழுவதுமாக புதுச்சேரியில் கொண்டு வர முடியும். புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தில் அனைவருக்கும் வீடு என்ற நிலையை முழுமையாக கொண்டு வர முடியும் என்ற நம்பிக்கை இருக்கின்றது. இந்த திட்டத்தில் புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்திற்கு சிறந்த யூனியன் பிரதேசம் என்ற விருது மத்திய அரசால் கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. புதுவை அரசினுடைய செயல்பாடுகள் அனைத்தும் புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தில் வளர்ச்சி என்ற நிலையை அடிப்படையாக கொண்டதாக இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. 2021-22 ஆண்டிற்கான புதுவை அரசின் உள் மாநில உற்பத்தி ரூபாய் 38,285.03 கோடியாக மதிப்பிடப்பட்டுள்ளது. இது சென்ற ஆண்டு 2020-21 ஆண்டின் உள் மாநில உற்பத்தியான 36,402.07 கோடியை அதை காட்டிலும் 5.1 விழுக்காடு என்ற வளர்ச்சி விகிதம் இப்பொழுது இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. அதேபோன்று புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தில் தனிநபர் வருமானமும் உயர்ந்திருக்கின்றது. 2,24,147 21-22 ஆண்டில் இருக்கும் என்று மதிப்பிடப்பட்டுள்ளது. இது கடந்த ஆண்டை விட 6.50 விழுக்காடு அதிகமாகும். இதேபோன்று புதுச்சேரி மாநிலத்தில் அனைத்தும் எளிதான நிலையில் மக்களுக்கு கிடைக்கின்ற வகையில் அனைத்திலும் தொழில்நுட்பத்தை கொண்டு வந்து எளிதாக்கி இருக்கின்றது. ஆதலால் புதுச்சேரி மக்கள் அனைத்தையும் எளிதில் பெற்றுக்கொள்கின்ற ஒரு வாய்ப்பினை அரசு உருவாக்கி இருக்கின்றது. குறிப்பாக ஏழை எளிய மக்களுடைய வளர்ச்சி அதிக கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. முதியோர்களுக்கு வயதானவர்களுக்கு உறுதுணையாக அரசு இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. முதியோர் ஓய்வூதியமானது 3 பிரிவாக பிரித்து 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 என்ற நிலையில் அரசு இப்பொழுது கொடுத்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. மீனவ சமுதாய மக்களுக்கு உரிய ஓய்வூதியம் உயர்த்தி கொடுக்கப்பட்டு வருகின்றது. தாழ்த்தப்பட்ட இன மக்களுக்குரிய அனைத்து சலுகைகளையும் அரசாங்கம் தொடர்ந்து செய்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. மொத்த நிதியில் 16.5 விழுக்காடு நிதி தாழ்த்தப்பட்ட இன மக்களுக்காக அரசு ஒதுக்கி அவருக்குரிய திட்டங்களை செம்மையாக செயல்படுத்தி வருகின்றது. இப்படி அனைத்து தரப்பு மக்களும் பயன்படுகின்ற வகையில் எங்களுடைய அரசின் செயல்பாடுகள் இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. சுற்றுலா பயணிகளை ஈர்ப்பது அதிக கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. சுற்றுலாவை மேம்படுத்துவதற்குரிய நடவடிக்கையை எடுத்து வருகின்றது. சட்டம் ஒழுங்கு கட்டுப்பாட்டில் கொண்டு வருவதற்கு நடவடிக்கையும் அரசு எடுத்து வருகின்றது. இப்படி அனைத்து துறைகளையும் சீரமைத்து சிறந்த முறையில் அரசானது செயல்படுத்தி வருவதன் மூலமாக எங்களுடைய புதுச்சேரி மாநிலம் சிறந்த மாநிலமாக திகழ்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. விவசாயத்தில் அதிக கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. விவசாய பெருமக்களுக்கான அனைத்து திட்டங்களையும் அரசு செயல்படுத்தி வருகின்றது. புதுச்சேரி மாநிலம் சுத்தமாகவும் சுகாதாரமாகவும் இருப்பதற்குரிய நடவடிக்கையிலும் அரசு மிகுந்த கவனம் செலுத்தி வருகின்றது. அதனால் எங்களுடைய மாநிலம் ஒரு சிறந்த மாநிலமாக திகழ்வதற்குரிய நடவடிக்கையை எடுத்து வருகின்ற இந்த நிலையில் இந்தியா டுடே பத்திரிகையானது எங்களுக்கு இந்த விருந்தினை வழங்கியிருப்பது மகிழ்ச்சி அளிக்கின்றது. அவர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றியை நான் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Moving on to the most improved small state, and the award goes to Manipur. From 2018, it has clocked an improved performance in 7 out of 12 categories, which is very, very impressive. It's done very well in economy, infrastructure, agriculture, health, governance, entrepreneurship, and cleanliness. Can I please invite the Chief Minister of Manipur, Mr. N. Biren Singh, to tell us his winning mantra.
Namaste. At the very beginning, I would like to thank India Today Group for recognizing Manipur's broad story. In the most improved category, a state is evaluated based on the improvement shown in past 5 years. As my government is about to complete 5 years in the office, nothing could be more fulfilling than this recognition. It showcases at the national level my government commitments towards the people of Manipur. For the last 5 years, I have been working relentlessly for overall development in the state across all areas, but the primary prerequisite of development in peace. 4 years, Manipur had been making headlines for insurgency and economic blockade and lack of political will to solve these perennial issues. Since we took up power, we took all possible measures to end bloodshed in Manipur. Consequently, the numbers of terror-related incidents has dropped from more than 700 in 2014 to 113 only in 2020. The last 2 years, the death toll did not even touch double figure. With peace making a comeback after decades, the next focus was on agriculture, health, and education, and making Manipur economy self-sufficient so that the development of the state becomes inclusive, touching the life of every citizen of the state. With the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji commitment to the causes of the farmers, my government has strived hard to create an agri-driven economy in Manipur. It is heartening to see that our efforts have reflected in Manipur's emergence as the most improved state in agriculture. It is easy to declare policies and a program, but the bigger challenge is to take the real benefit to every household. That is the reason service delivery has been one of our key focus area. I believe the ultimate barometers of governance is the satisfaction level of the citizen. That Manipur has been found to be the best performing state in governance is a testimony that our government has been moving in the right direction. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Let's begin with the awards. The award for the best performing big state and economy goes to Telangana. Kerala, God's own country, gets the award for being the best performing big state in health, tourism and environment. And of course, it is also the happiest state. Punjab wins the award for being the best performing state in agriculture, infrastructure and cleanliness, and it also gets the award for being the most improved big state in tourism. Andhra Pradesh wins the award for being the best performing state in inclusive development. Rajasthan gets the award for being the best performing state in governance. Gujarat is the best performing big state in law and order. Haryana is the best performing big state in entrepreneurship. And the award for being the best performing big state in education and the most improved state in health goes to Himachal Pradesh. The award for overall being the most improved big state plus being the most improved big state in economy, education and inclusive development goes to Bihar. The award for being the most improved big state in infrastructure goes to Jharkhand. The most improved big state on law and order goes to Karnataka. The award for being the most improved big state in law and order and entrepreneurship goes to Uttar Pradesh. Assam wins the award for being the most improved big state in cleanliness. Chhattisgarh gets the award for being the most improved big state in environment. Madhya Pradesh wins the most improved big state award in agriculture. Moving on to the award winners in the small state category, the award for being the best performing overall small state and the best performing small state in health goes to Puducherry. It also wins the award for being the most improved small state in cleanliness. Sikkim wins the award for being the best performing small state in economy and the most improved small state in law and order and environment. Goa wins the best performing small state award in infrastructure, education, tourism and cleanliness. Mizoram wins the award for being the best performing small state in inclusive development and environment. It also wins the award for being the most improved small state in economy, entrepreneurship and health. Manipur wins the best performing small state in governance. It wins the award for the overall most improved small state and it also wins the award for the most improved small state in agriculture. Nagaland wins the best performing small state in law and order. Delhi wins the best performing small state award in entrepreneurship. The best performing small state in agriculture award goes to Tripura. Meghalaya wins the award for the most improved small state in education, inclusive development and tourism. Arunachal Pradesh wins the award for being the most improved small state in infrastructure and governance. With that, we come to the special address by Mr. Harsh Goenka, Chairman, RPG Enterprises. We've all come to look forward to Mr. Goenka's tweets for all the positivity and inspiration they bring to us. Here's a special address by Mr. Goenka.
Honorable Chief Minister and esteemed guests, it is my honor and privilege to be with this august congregation today for the State of the State Awards presented by India Today and the RPG Group. Over the last 2 years, while the pandemic has consumed our daily lives, businesses, and our conversations, it has also been an extraordinary year for the scientific community and for the humanity in general. The immense challenges of developing, manufacturing, and supplying vaccines not only within the country but to the world was overcome admirably by our scientific and healthcare establishments. We as a nation have also accomplished major milestones in vaccinating our citizens. Our grit and determination to emerge from the darkness and lend a helping hand to those around us will be stories we will be sharing with the future generations. The collective efforts of 1 billion people led by able leaders in the center and in the states to put people first, strengthen the economy, and place development on the fast track are significantly noteworthy. As India embarks on a challenging journey of development on a holistic scale, the need to assess and evaluate the socio-economic condition of our states becomes critical. Over the years, the State of the States study has played the role of a steady catalyst and a key enabler to help our policymakers and stakeholders identify the potential and also the pitfalls. I must congratulate the team at India Today for having ensured that this exercise remains a very credible benchmark on the performance of Indian states for nearly 2 decades. Social welfare and economic progress lead to a state of improved mental and physical well-being, which in turn promotes a general sense of happiness in people. At RPG Group, happiness is not just an emotion, but a promise that we endeavor to deliver to our stakeholders through our actions, be it our employees, our investors, our clients, and society in general. RPG's brand promise of happiness wonderfully aligns with the values of the India Today Group, and it is with this belief that we have joined hands with India Today to launch the India Today RPG Happiness Quest. It is an initiative that will seek out and identify and honor exemplary citizens for their efforts in furthering the cause of happiness. When we spoke with India Today on introducing the concept of Happiness Index in the year's State of the States Awards as part of a joint initiative, it found instant resonance. The Happiness Index essentially captures the score of each of our 29 states and 7 union territories on the happiness scale. This marking will further our agenda of improving the quality of personal and professional lives and elevating India in the global rankings. We are hopeful that this will also trigger a healthy competition between states that could have far-reaching implications on governance and on development. India is a land of abundant opportunities. The march of progress has been visible across all states in the past decades on key parameters like road and infrastructure, adoption and technology in governance, e-commerce, and social initiatives for the poor. The demographics alone speak volumes. We have an ever-expanding young workforce. Our large and technically skilled labor force lends us to a unique competitive advantage. When one researches the historical performances of Indian businesses, the pervasive entrepreneurial spirit comes to the fore. Industry would be keen to invest in a state with a healthy mix of all these key indicators. Political leadership and drive at the state level has become far more astute, and we can see a spirit of competitiveness between states in reaching out and attractive investments. We see an increased urge to adopt advanced technology and intelligent management systems to solve current and future challenges as we incubate the smart cities of tomorrow. However, all these indicators can only be enhanced with strong leadership. Programs flourish under visionary leaders. And this is where our able and honorable chief ministers and the bureaucracy have a very vital role to play. Over the decades, India's development has stood testimony to the rising quality of governance that has paved the way for rapidly evolving systems in each state. The nation has seen a steady uptick in sectors like chemical, energy, healthcare, IT, infrastructure, banking. Today, we see hubs emerging across the country in areas such as AI and automation, digital innovation, education, and travel. It would be advantageous for states to nurture these hubs and build their own USP to encourage entrepreneurs and industries to set up shops in their states. As an incredibly resourceful nation that has proven itself in its past endeavors, I'm certain that our future is very bright. From trade and financial policy reforms to proactive FDI policies, rapid infrastructural development in urban planning, ports, telecommunications, power, and aviation, the nation will continue to rely on the able leadership both at the center and the states. Today, when I look at all our big ticket achievements, I feel proud to be an Indian. As we continue meeting our own needs without compromising the welfare of future generations, the memo remains uncomplicated. Sustainable development is the need of the hour. We must value the happiness of our future generations as much as we do ours. In conclusion, I would like to thank the India Today Group for our partnership in the happiness quest and in establishing such a credible platform for fair judgment and encouraging the nation's growth agenda. Finally, I want to congratulate all the winners tonight for their exemplary and path-breaking work. I hope together as a nation we continue to strive for sustainable happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goenka, for that. And with that, let's move on to the Happiness Awards. This is our new edition, which has specifically been brought in this year because one of the key learnings from the pandemic has been the importance of being happy. So let's take a look at the big state the winning state on the happiness index. And the winner here is none other than God's own country, Kerala. Moving on to the best performing small state on the happiness index. Again, no surprises there, it's Goa. Let's hear it from the Chief Minister of Goa, Mr. Pramod Sawant, on what keeps Goans so happy.
सबसे पहले मैं इंडिया टुडे का बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं कि हर साल इंडिया टुडे द ई कॉन्क्लेव और स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट अवार्ड फंक्शन अरेंज करते हैं। इस बार भी इंडिया टुडे के स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट अवार्ड फंक्शन 2021 में हमारे गोवा स्टेट को उन्होंने जो अवार्ड दे दिए हैं उनके लिए मैं गोवा सरकार की तरफ से बहुत बहुत उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एजुकेशन, टूरिज्म, क्लीनलीनेस एंड हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, इस पंचसूत्री में सही में गोवा में सबसे ज्यादा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, एजुकेशन में, टूरिज्म में, क्लीनलीनेस में काम किया है और इसीलिए हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स इन द स्टेट ऑफ द गोवा इंक्रीज हुआ है। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के हेल्प से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हम पूरी तरह से सब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विद इन 6 मंथ्स, इससे भी ज्यादा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंप्लीट होने वाले हैं। द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के हेल्प से द टूरिज्म सेक्टर में और ज्यादा से ज्यादा हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी रेडी कर रहे हैं। विद द स्टेक होल्डर्स इन द टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री, दे आर ऑल्सो गिविंग द गुड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड हॉस्पिटलिटी फॉर द टूरिज्म वन हु इज कमिंग इन द स्टेट। इसीलिए गोवा टूरिज्म क्षेत्र में भी 1 नंबर पे आ रहे हैं। एजुकेशन में तो हर वक्त हम पहले से अच्छा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और ह्यूमन रिसोर्स देने में कामयाब रहे हैं और हमेशा के लिए हमारा लिटरेसी रेट हाई यानी एजुकेशन सेक्टर में बहुत ज्यादा अच्छी तरह से काम कर सके हैं। द क्लीनलीनेस पर्पस, वी आर इन द रूरल एंड अर्बन एरियाज, वन ऑफ द बेस्ट क्लीनलीनेस plant which is a solid waste management plant is one of the best in the Asia. प्लांट गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से हमने सेटअप कर दिया है। द रोड क्लीनिंग, बीच क्लीनिंग, इवन द ओपन डेफिकेशन फ्री, हर घर नल से जल, इस तरह से हर एक केंद्र की योजना हम गोवा में उपलब्ध किए, गोवा के लोगों के लिए किए हैं और इसी तरह नंबर 1 आया है। इसलिए फिर से एक बार मैं इंडिया टुडे का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ और सभी से लेके द हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, द कोविड के बाद हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स पे 1 नंबर पे रहना ये बहुत जिक्र की बात थी, लेकिन मेरे पूरे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और लोगों ने जो सहकार्य दिया इन कोविड मैनेजमेंट, पोस्ट कोविड ट्रीटमेंट, इवन दो द वेलनेस सेंटर स्टेटमेंट, माय हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट एंड ऑल द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, दे आर डूइंग द वंडरफुल मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द कोविड एंड उसके बाद में वाले ट्रीटमेंट भी। इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि द हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, द लॉ एंड ऑर्डर विच इज वेरी गुड मेंटेन इन द स्टेट ऑफ गोवा, जो कोई गोवा में आता है हम उनका स्वागत करते हैं। इसीलिए इस 5 पॉइंट पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एजुकेशन, टूरिज्म और क्लीनलीनेस एंड हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स पे फिर से एक बार इंडिया टुडे ने इन स्मॉल स्टेट्स, स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट्स अवार्ड में हमें जो अवार्ड दिया, उनके लिए मैं गोवा सरकार की तरफ से उनका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। हर बार आप हमें रिकॉग्निशन देते हैं, इसलिए आपका फिर से एक बार आभार।
With that, let's move on to the winning mantras of different states. We caught up with the chief ministers and senior bureaucrats of the winning states to understand their winning strategies. Let's begin with the chief minister of Rajasthan, Mr. Ashok Gehlot.
इंडिया टुडे प्रतिष्ठित पत्रिका के रूप में अपनी पहचान बना चुकी है। 40 साल से अधिक अर्सा कम नहीं होता है। अपना स्टैंडर्ड मेंटेन किया, क्रेडिबिलिटी मेंटेन की और मुझे खुशी है कि राजस्थान सरकार के गुड गवर्नेंस को उन्होंने रिकॉग्नाइज किया और बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग स्टेट के रूप में अवार्ड देने की उन्होंने घोषणा की है। मैं उनके लिए उनका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ और मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि जो हमारा सुशासन का अभियान है, जिसमें हम लोग चाहे कोविड का मैनेजमेंट हो, चाहे मेडिकल हेल्थ एंड उसके अंदर हमने जो नए आयाम क्रिएट किए हैं, फ्री मेडिसिन, फ्री टेस्ट, चिरंजीव योजना 5 लाख का बीमा पूरे प्रदेशवासियों का हमने किया है। हर क्षेत्र में, शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में हम लोग आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। हर क्षेत्र को हम लोग पानी, बिजली, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, सड़कों। आज राजस्थान वो नहीं रहा जहाँ आकाश फूके पड़ते रहते थे खाली। आज हमने जो प्रगति की है राजस्थान की, वो सुशासन की बदौलत हुई है। मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ आने वाले वक्त में और हम नए आयाम कायम करेंगे, मुझे पूरा यकीन है। मैं इंडिया टुडे के परिवार को बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करूँगा। उनकी सर्वे के आधार पर हमें बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग स्टेट का अवार्ड मिल रहा है। मुझे बात ये बहुत पसंद है।
Mr. Basvaraj Bommai, Chief Minister, Karnataka.
For the last 2 years, Karnataka state has managed the entire home affairs very exceedingly well. The reason behind is the motivated police force and having created a goodwill among the general public and people-friendly actions, prompt action and prompt arresting the culprits, taking care of general law and order, taking precautions. Other than this, we have got a special war on drug, where Karnataka has gone full force against the drug menace, which is there in the entire world country. But we were able to nab the drug suppliers, international, national level and locals, as well as large cache of drugs we have been able to confiscate and burn them. To tell you the fact, what the drug was confiscated in the last 5 years, it was done in 1 year. And the highest drug confiscation in the country was done by Karnataka. We have been able to use our technological expert in the police force to nab the cyber crime and cheating in the financial institutions. And we were able to break the dark web and stop the international smuggling of drugs, arms. And we have kept a great deal of watch on illegal migrants. Then our coastal line is well guarded, and we have got a lot of sleeper cells, and we have worked very closely with NIA. And there were certain bottlenecks regarding FSL lab, and we were the first state to create officer on the crime scene. Almost 16,000 police force we are recruiting in only 2 to 3 years. We have got maximum number of training schools. We are creating new training schools, and with the help of Government of India, we are able to keep the morale of the police very high. And then women safety is high on our agenda. So we have got Nirbhaya scheme, which has been put in place, where more than 7,000 cameras will be there in Bangalore and in other cities also. So with all-round proactive action and proactive taking people into confidence in all the situations, we are able to maintain law and order as well as crime rate. One last thing I just want to tell you, that golden hour, especially in cyber crime, we are able to establish where FIR is not necessary, just a crime number will be there on the mobile, and all the accounts which have been hacked by the culprits are seized, and money is being confiscated and recovered also. Other than this, there is a saying that crime leads a law. But here in Karnataka, we have tried hard enough to see that law catches up with the crime. That's a difference. That's a positive difference we have made in the Home Department affairs. Therefore, we are able to contain a lot of crime and law and order situations. I am grateful to India Today who are able to recognize all these feats very closely and select us as most improved big state law and order, Karnataka. I am really grateful to India Today. This will help us to do much better, and this will motivate us to achieve the higher goals in the entire law and order and crime, contending the crime. I am once again grateful to India Today.
Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar, Chief Minister, Haryana.
अत्यंत प्रसन्नता का विषय है कि इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप की स्टेट रैंकिंग 2021 में हरियाणा को उद्यमशीलता में बड़े राज्यों में श्रेष्ठ प्रदर्शन करने वाला राज्य माना गया है। हरियाणा को यह पुरस्कार लगातार दूसरी बार मिल रहा है। कृषि प्रधान राज्य हरियाणा को उद्यमता में श्रेष्ठ स्थान मिलना हमारे लिए गर्व का विषय है। इसके लिए मैं प्रदेश के उद्यमियों और श्रमिकों समेत सभी नागरिकों को हार्दिक बधाई देना चाहता हूं। आज हरियाणा टेक्नोलॉजी के इष्टतम उपयोग से सिस्टम में सुधार का उत्तम उदाहरण बन गया है। हमने ईज ऑफ डूइंग से एक कदम आगे बढ़ते हुए ईज ऑफ लिविंग की दिशा में कार्य किया है। उद्यमियों की सुविधा के लिए हमने ई गवर्नेंस का उपयोग कर कई कारगर कदम उठाए हैं। इसके अलावा राज्य में अलग से एमएसएमई विभाग का गठन किया गया है। प्रदेश में चलाए जा रहे मिनी क्लस्टर विकास कार्यक्रम से राज्य में सूक्ष्म, लघु और मध्यम उद्योगों के विकास में तेजी आई है। केंद्र सरकार ने भी इसे सर्वोत्तम योजना माना है। प्रदेश में उद्योग एवं रोजगार को बढ़ावा देने के लिए नई हरियाणा उद्यम एवं रोजगार नीति 2020 लागू की है। उद्योगों के लिए कुशल मानव संसाधन विकसित करने हेतु हमने स्कूल से लेकर विश्वविद्यालय तक की शिक्षा को कौशल से जोड़ा है। उद्यमियों को विभिन्न स्वीकृतियां लेने के लिए विभिन्न विभागों में न जाना पड़े, इसके लिए हमने हरियाणा एंटरप्राइज प्रमोशन सेंटर खोला है। इसके माध्यम से 20 विभागों की 100 से अधिक औद्योगिक स्वीकृतियां एक ही छत के नीचे समयबद्ध तरीके से दी जा रही हैं। प्रदेश की भौगोलिक विशिष्टता और मजबूत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर उद्यमियों के सर्वथा अनुकूल है। लॉजिस्टिक्स ईज अक्रॉस डिफरेंट स्टेट्स रिपोर्ट 2021 में हरियाणा को दूसरा स्थान मिला है, जो बुनियादी ढांचे में सुधार की हमारी प्रतिबद्धता को दर्शाता है। क्षेत्रफल की दृष्टि से देश में 21वें और जनसंख्या की दृष्टि से 18वें स्थान पर होने के बावजूद विकास एवं जन कल्याण के अधिकतर मापदंडों पर हम देश में अग्रणी हैं। हमारे उद्यमियों की मेहनत का प्रतिफल है कि आज हरियाणा क्रेन, एक्सकेवेटर, कार, दोपहिया वाहन, जूतों और वैज्ञानिक उपकरणों के उत्पादन में देश भर में अग्रणी है। प्रति व्यक्ति आय के मामले में हम देश के बड़े राज्यों में प्रथम स्थान पर हैं। केंद्रीय खाद्यान्न भंडार में योगदान देने में हमारा दूसरा स्थान है। दूध के उत्पादन में भी राज्य का देश में दूसरा स्थान है। हरियाणा स्वास्थ्य मानकों में सुधार करने वाला देश का पहला राज्य है। हरियाणा देश का पहला केरोसिन मुक्त राज्य भी है। सभी पढ़ी लिखी पंचायतों वाला देश का एकमात्र प्रदेश है। देश में राज्य ऊर्जा दक्षता सूचकांक 2019 में हरियाणा का प्रथम स्थान है। परिवार पहचान पत्र बनाने वाला हरियाणा देश का पहला राज्य है। हाल ही में हमें स्वच्छता सर्वेक्षण 2021 स्टेट अवार्ड मिला है। प्रदेश को 100 नगर निकायों से कम संख्या वाले राज्यों में दूसरा स्थान प्राप्त हुआ है। विकास और जन कल्याण के अभियान में इंडिया टुडे जैसी संस्थाओं द्वारा दिए गए सुझावों का हमारे लिए अत्यंत महत्व है। अंत में मैं उद्यमिता के क्षेत्र में बड़े राज्यों में श्रेष्ठ प्रदर्शन हेतु अवार्ड प्रदान करने के लिए इंडिया टुडे संस्थान को धन्यवाद देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय हरियाणा।
Mr. Prem Singh Tamang, Chief Minister, Sikkim.
I am delighted to mention here that Sikkim has been awarded by India Today in 3 main areas. They are economy, law and order, and environment. For this, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to India Today. We all had to face a fatal situation due to the lockdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet our respected people of Sikkim never lose their passion. At the outset, I want to thank them from the core of my heart. In the context of this honor by India Today, I would like to mention here that respected Sikkimese people indeed deserve this honor. They have contributed a lot and have a right on it. I feel that the tireless work and incomparable contribution of all the employees of Sikkim government, all the officials of higher rank, legislature, my friends in the cabinet, government and non-government bodies, as well as every individuals have been appreciated by India Today through this award. I would like to thank all the departments dedicated to bring the student, patient and employees standard outside the state back to the home state, Sikkim, at a time when law and order was playing an important role. All the people of this department work day and night regardless of their health, hunger and sleep. I would like to thank everyone working as police personnel and security personnel, from a home guard to the Director General of Police. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the health workers who dedicated to save the lives of others, regardless of their own health. It was dark all around during the lockdown as the battle of life and death was going on. Nevertheless, the health workers did not lose hope, but gave their 100% during the time of crisis. Various notifications were issued by the government from time to time as per the situation, although there was no decrease in the patience and tolerance of the respected citizen. I am extremely grateful to them. The economy here had become very weak on the basis of tourism sector because most of the people are dependent on it. But the dear people of the state kept helping each other and did not give up their courtesy in those difficult times. This great deed of our respective people, this fragrance of dignity and glory will live forever in the history of Sikkim. Tourists who wanted to come to Sikkim from India and abroad must have been affected by our lockdown following the law and order situation. I would like to thank them from the bottom of my heart for their passion. In the field of environment, I am proud to say that the environment here is very pure and clean and serene. There is awareness and cleanliness among the people. Besides soft-spoken instinct and the spirit of social service, we are getting ample cooperation from the people in this area. Apart from this, the contribution of the Forest and Environment Department, including departmental heads, officers and employees, is incomparable. I would like to extend my heartiest congratulations and thanks to everyone. I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the departments of Sikkim government and non-government bodies, in addition to each and every individuals. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the central government for the uninterrupted support and guidance in our needs, giving unceasing support in all situations during the pandemic. The central government has given us strength and sole confidence by providing free vaccines to us. Today we stand as a 100% vaccinated state. As an outcome of your concern, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, the central government and all the dignitaries concerned. In the end, I express my gratitude to the brave frontline warriors, everyone dedicated towards the welfare of the state, and would also like to urge that in the coming days, we expect similar cooperation and support from all directions. Together, we will be able to take the state to a newer height. Once again, I express my gratitude to the India Today team for the concern rendered to us. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Sikkim.
Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, Chief Minister, Chhattisgarh.
नमस्कार मित्रों, विकास का गांधीवादी दृष्टिकोण मूलतः प्रकृति और पर्यावरण के साथ समन्वय का दृष्टिकोण है। छत्तीसगढ़ के विकास के मॉडल का यही आधार है। हमारे पास पर्यावरण संरक्षण को लेकर एक स्पष्ट नीति है। हमारी सभी योजनाएं इसी नीति का हिस्सा है। हम खुशनसीब हैं कि हमारे 44% भूभाग में जंगल है, नदियां हैं, नाले हैं, हमारी ज़मीन उर्वरा है, हमें भरपूर धूप मिलती है, हमारे यहाँ पर्याप्त बारिश होती है। हमारी यही ताकत है जिसका इस्तेमाल हम कृषि और वन आधारित नए उद्योग नीति में कर रहे हैं। सुराजी गांव योजना के गौठानों से जैविक खेती को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं, रासायनिक खेती को बेदखल करने, अन्न, हवा, पानी को जहरीला होने से बचा रहे हैं। नरवा विकास की योजना हजारों जल संरचनाओं से सतही और भूमिगत जल का संरक्षण कर रहे हैं। राजीव गांधी किसान न्याय योजना में वृक्षारोपण के लिए इनपुट सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं। नदियों को पुनर्जीवित कर रहे हैं, उनके तटों को सघन वृक्षारोपण कर रहे हैं। जैव विविधता को बचाए रखने के लिए हमारे पास ठोस कार्यक्रम है जिसमें जनभागीदारी सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। शहरों में घर घर कचरा इकट्ठा करके हम उनकी 100% प्रोसेसिंग कर रहे हैं। हमारे 67 शहरों ने इस साल स्वच्छता का राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार जीता है। हम लगातार तीसरे साल देश के स्वच्छतम राज्य घोषित हुए हैं। विकास का यह हमारा दृष्टिकोण ही हमारे बेहतर होते पर्यावरण का रहस्य है। मैं इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। उसने छत्तीसगढ़ की इन उपलब्धियों को रेखांकित किया है और सराहा है। आप सभी को धन्यवाद।
Mr. Jairam Thakur, Chief Minister, Himachal Pradesh.
नमस्कार। मुझे यह जानकर प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि प्रतिष्ठित इंडिया टुडे पत्रिका द्वारा किए गए अपने राष्ट्रव्यापी सर्वेक्षण स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट्स में हिमाचल प्रदेश को देश के बड़े राज्य की श्रेणी में शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग स्टेट तथा स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में मोस्ट इम्प्रूव्ड स्टेट आंका गया है। यह पुरस्कार हम सभी के लिए एक गौरव व सम्मान का विषय तो है ही, साथ ही साथ यह हमें और अधिक निष्ठा व समर्पण के साथ प्रदेश व प्रदेशवासियों की सेवा के लिए प्रेरित करेगा। मेरा प्रदेशवासियों से भी विनम्र आग्रह है कि वे विकास की इस गति को अविरल बनाए रखने के लिए इसी तरह अपना बहुमूल्य सहयोग व समर्थन देते रहें। जय हिंद, जय हिमाचल। नमस्कार।
Mr. Pema Khandu, Chief Minister, Arunachal Pradesh.
नमस्कार आप सभी को। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही खुशी का बात है कि इंडिया टुडे स्टेट ऑफ द स्टेट अवार्ड में अरुणाचल प्रदेश को मोस्ट इम्प्रूव्ड स्मॉल स्टेट्स इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड गवर्नेंस का अवार्ड मिला हुआ है। तो पिछले 5 सालों में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर साइड में भारत सरकार के साथ में मिलकर राज्य सरकार ने कई सारा काम किया हुआ है। खास करके रोड सेक्टर में हमारा जितने भी जो हाईवेज है उसको बहुत अच्छी प्रकार से हम लोग ने बनाया है और रूरल एरियाज में कनेक्टिविटी पहुंचाने में प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामीण सड़क योजना का प्रोग्राम से बहुत सारा विलेजेस हमारे यहाँ कनेक्ट हो चुका है। और स्टेट कैपिटल में हमारा स्टेट का सेक्रेटरीट, असेंबली बिल्डिंग्स और डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में जितने भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल्स है और साथ साथ स्कूल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और हमारा स्पोर्ट्स स्टेडियम, तो इन सारा क्षेत्रों में काम हुआ है। गवर्नेंस क्षेत्र में काफ़ी सारा रिफॉर्म्स हम लोग ने लेके आया और ट्रांसपेरेंसी को काफ़ी बढ़ाया और हम लोग डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म को काफ़ी यूज़ किया है। आज हमारे सेक्रेटरीट का जितने भी जो फाइलिंग चल रहा है वो ई फाइल में हम लोग चला रहा है और साथ ही साथ हमारा कैबिनेट भी ई कैबिनेट से ही हम लोग कंडक्ट कर रहा है। तो मैं इस अवार्ड को डेडिकेट करूंगा हमारे जितने भी ऑफिसर्स हैं, हमारा सरकारी कर्मचारी है और साथ साथ हमारे पूरे जनता, क्योंकि जनता के आशीर्वाद के बिना उतना हम काम कर नहीं पाते हैं। सो आई डेडिकेट दिस अवार्ड टू माय टीम ऑफ ऑफिसर्स एंड द पीपल ऑफ अरुणाचल प्रदेश एंड ऑल्सो आई एक्सटेंड माय थैंक्स टू इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप एंड माय बेस्ट विशेस टू यू ऑल। थैंक यू। जय हिंद, जय अरुणाचल।
Mr. Kamal Patel, Minister for Agriculture, Madhya Pradesh.
इंडिया टुडे के स्टेट ऑफ स्टेट कॉन्क्लेव में आज मध्य प्रदेश को कृषि क्षेत्र में मोस्ट इम्प्रूव्ड स्टेट का पुरस्कार के लिए चुना गया है। मैं मध्य प्रदेश के मेहनती किसानों को अपनी ओर से और मुख्यमंत्री शिवराज जी की ओर से बधाई देता हूं। साथ ही इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो संकल्प है किसान की आय 2022 तक दोगुना करना, उसमें मध्य प्रदेश माननीय मुख्यमंत्री शिवराज जी के नेतृत्व में कृषि विभाग लगातार प्रयास कर रहा है। हमने कृषि की जो खरीदी की समर्थन मूल्य पे थी उसकी नीतियों में परिवर्तन किया। हमने गेहूं खरीदी में पूरे देश में पंजाब को पछाड़ कर नंबर 1 स्थान पे आए। साथ ही चना, सरसों, मसूर की जो खरीदी मई में होती थी, जिससे हमारा 86% किसान जो छोटा है वो मजबूरी में औने पौने भाव में बेच देता था, हमने 15 मार्च से गेहूं से पहले खरीदने का निर्णय लिया, क्योंकि गेहूं के पहले चना, सरसों, मसूर की फसल आती है और इसके कारण समर्थन मूल्य से ऊपर चना, सरसों, मसूर बिकवाने में सफल हुए। इससे हमारे प्रदेश के 10,000 करोड़ किसान को ज्यादा मिला। ये पहली बार हुआ। एक दिन में 25 कुंटल की सीमा थी, वो हटाकर हमने अनलिमिटेड करा। जितना किसी का किसान का उत्पादन उतना एक दिन में खरीदेंगे। इसी के साथ हमने गर्मी की ग्रीष्मकालीन मूंग की फसल के लिए डैम से पानी छिड़वाया और मध्य प्रदेश देश में पहला राज्य हो गया है जो 12 लाख मीट्रिक टन मूंग उत्पादन किया। 7,196 समर्थन मूल्य था। पहली बार ग्रीष्मकालीन मूंग के समर्थन मूल्य पर खरीदी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री शिवराज जी के नेतृत्व में भारत सरकार के सहयोग से हमने की, जिससे किसानों को प्रति कुंटल 3,000 रुपए ज्यादा मिला। अगर समर्थन मूल्य पे जो मूंग नहीं खरीदते तो ये 5,000 के 4,000 के अंदर बिकता। इस प्रकार इसमें भी 4 से 6,000 करोड़ किसान को ज्यादा दिला है। इस प्रकार एक साल के अंदर हमने 16,000 करोड़ किसान को ज्यादा दिलाने में सफलता प्राप्त की। हमने सिंचाई की पर्याप्त व्यवस्था की, बिजली की व्यवस्था की और उस किसानों को असली खाद बीज और दवाई देने में सफलता प्राप्त की। नकली खाद बीज वालों के खिलाफ कार्रवाइयां की, FIR कराई और उसके कारण किसान को अच्छी गुणवत्ता का बीज समय पर और उसके कारण किसानों ने भी मेहनत करके इतना उत्पादन किया। उनका उत्पादन समर्थन मूल्य पर खरीद कर हजारों करोड़ किसानों को दिलाने में हम सफल हुए। इस प्रकार खेती लाभ का धंधा बनी और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का संकल्प 2022 तक जो दोगुना करने का था वो हमने 21 मई मध्य प्रदेश में करके दिखाया। और इसी कारण इंडिया टुडे ने बेहतरीन प्रदर्शन के लिए कृषि क्षेत्र में मध्य प्रदेश को चुना है। मैं एक बार पुनः मध्य प्रदेश के किसान भाइयों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
Mr. H.K. Dwivedi, Chief Secretary, West Bengal.
I'm delighted to know that West Bengal has been adjudged as the winner in the most improved big state in the governance category by the India Today. It's a matter of great honor, privilege, and also pride for the entire state and the administration that West Bengal has been able to come to this position. This is all possible due to the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who for the last 10 years, since 2011, has been spearheading the governance of the state. The main focus of the state government under her leadership has been basically on 4 fronts. One was on the fiscal reforms and financial management. Although saddled with a debt of around 2 lakh crores, there has been a marked improvement in the fiscal parameters. The GDP of the state, which was 4.6 lakh crores in 10-11, today is more than 13.70 lakh crores. And we are the 4th largest state in the country in terms of GDP. Similarly, on the fiscal fronts, whether it is debt to GDP ratio, whether it is the total revenue receipts, which was very, very low in 2010-11, today there has been an increase of more than 3 times during the last 10 years. Similarly, the capital expenditure, which was as low as 2,000 crores, very abysmal for a state of a size of West Bengal and a population of around 10 crore. Today we are around 20,000 crores and capex to GDP ratio also has improved. So on the fiscal front, the capital expenditure has grown more than 7 times over this period. Similarly, the revenue has grown and all the fiscal parameters have improved tremendously. The second focus area was of governance, was of delivery of services to the people. And because of the low capex and the low development expenditure, which this government when this government took over, was reflected in the poor service delivery, poor infrastructure. So main thrust was to improve the service delivery to the people on all the development and social fronts, whether it is education, health, roads, buildings, and other areas like agriculture, agri-alides. So this was the third focus area, to improve the service delivery and to improve the infrastructure, which in turn will feed into the higher GDP. The third area of governance was to attract investments, the private investments, so that we can create more and more jobs. So this was the third area of focus and third thrust area. And on that front, a large number of initiatives were taken to develop industrial estates, to have an industrial friendly policy, to ensure that the industrial relation, because the militant labor union, which was the hallmark of the earlier period, how to make the relationship between the industry and the labor more cordial, so that the industry can flourish in peace. So that was the third area of focus. And the fourth area of focus, linked to the third area of focus, was to increase the ease of doing business, to look at the various processes, various procedures, various regulatory mechanisms which are in place, and to ensure that these are simplified so that the industry and private investment can come in. There has been an all-round focus on the development of women, development of SC and ST, development of minorities, so that people who are at the margins of the society, they are mainstreamed and the government schemes actually reach to them. On the education front, the number of universities have increased from 12 to 26 during this period. A large number of colleges have also been set up, especially in those areas which are underserved, which did not have any such degree colleges and all. The state offers a huge potential, and this potential, under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee, we have been moving in the direction to see that this potential is realized, it turns into reality, and all-out efforts are being made to see that this state comes back and regains the glory it once has. Thank you.
Chief Ministers with their winning strategies only on India Today. With that, we conclude the 19th edition of the India Today State of States Conclave. We hope to be back next year in person with an expansive analysis of all the work that's happening in the states that makes India grow. I'd like to thank our sponsors, RPG Enterprises, once again for making this happen. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next year.